Looks like we're good on YouTube. I think we're good on Eventive. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. Justin, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, just thanks for having Crosstown Arts again virtually, and thanks to Indie Memphis as always for organizing this. Crosstown Arts, is a lot of you know, is still closed to the public, but we do our residency program has kicked back up, and our first cohort arrived today, and so on October 22nd we will be doing some kind of virtual artist talk in the early afternoon. So if you guys are interested in that, go to crosstownarts.org, and we'll see who's going to talk that day. And then also, I just wanted to say we still are doing our Against the Grain initiative. Like I've said before, I know a lot of filmmakers like myself double as musicians. And so this is an opportunity for musicians to do a one-take song on their iPhone. You send it into Crosstown, and we'll give you $50 and put you on our website with a donation button, and people can donate, and all of that money, 100% of it goes to the artist. And we've had quite a few people submit and do pretty well with that. So if you're also a musician and you want to do that, please send us a video. And that's really all I got. Excited about the panel tonight, and good to see everybody via Zoom. Thanks.
Thanks, Justin. Hey, everybody. I'm Joseph Carr. I'm the Director of Artist Development and Youth Film with Indie Memphis. Of course, thank you to Justin and everybody at Crosstown Arts. They've been our longtime partner in this program, 7 years now. And as I think everybody knows, we normally host these at the beautiful Crosstown Theater on the first Tuesday of every month. Since this crazy pandemic has been going on, we've been doing these online with great success here as well. And we will continue to bring these to you as we kind of continue to figure out how this whole post-pandemic world is going to work. I will say that in this October, we're probably not going to have another Shoot and Splice as we kind of prep for the big festival we have coming up. But we will be back to Shoot and Splice back in November, so we should be good to go then. So before we get started, I want to thank our Shoot and Splice sponsors of Mark Jones, Firefly Grip and Electric, LensRentals.com, Music and Art Studio, and Via Productions. They've been longtime sponsors of Shoot and Splice as well as our Indie Grants program. As I just mentioned, we're back with our Indie Memphis Film Festival again for the 23rd year. And while it will be a little different this year, our programming team, led by Miriam Bale, Bridget Wheeler, and Kayla Myers, have been working for months to program a really, truly exceptional festival that I'm really excited to announce to you guys. Our festival will be a hybrid of online and outdoor venues, including the Malco Summer Drive-In, as well as some outdoor lawn screenings at venues including Shelby Farms, the Levitt Shell, Grove at GPAC, Stax Museum parking lot, and the downtown riverfront. So we've got some really cool outdoor screenings that you guys can get some passes to. And the passes are on sale now, and they start as low as $25. And the schedule of films will be announced next week at our online preview party on Thursday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Stay tuned for more details on how that's going to work coming very, very soon. Okay, so how this evening will work is in just a moment, I will introduce our moderator, Kayla Myers, and she will be hosting our Meet the Residents conversation. For those of you that may not know, these residents are currently writing feature film scripts with the intention of filming them here in Memphis. We had so many awesome applicants this year, and we were very fortunate that musician and Sorry to Bother You filmmaker Boots Riley actually chose these three eventual winners for our program. So thank you to Boots, and thank you to everybody that applied to this program. So they are all here tonight to introduce themselves to our Memphis film community, and we're really excited to have them. If we want to go ahead and bring in Kayla Myers, our awesome moderator and programmer. Kayla was also instrumental in helping us narrow down all of our applicants to the eventual three winners that were chosen by Boots here tonight. So welcome, Kayla.
Thanks, Joseph. Hey, everybody. It's so nice to see you all tonight. Just like Joseph just said, all of these wonderful people applied for the Indie Memphis Black Filmmaker Residency and Fellowship. And now we'll have the opportunity to hear from them tonight.
And before we bring them on, I do want to make sure everybody knows if you have questions for our residents and fellow tonight, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Just submit your question there. And if you're watching on Eventive or on YouTube, you can send your questions there and we will make sure those questions are addressed as well. So thanks, Kayla. If you want to go ahead and bring everybody in, I will disappear now.
Bye, Joseph. Again, like I just said, all of our wonderful writers that we have here tonight applied for the Indie Memphis Black Filmmaker Residency and Fellowship, and they'll get the chance to spend the next 2 months focusing on the scripts that they submitted to us and really get to dive into their craft, but also get to come and get connected with you all, whether that's virtually. And so I'll go ahead and bring on Damon Davis, Seren Sensei, and Zaire Love, our wonderful residents and fellow. Okay, cool. We got everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you and really excited for people to get to meet you and hear about your work. And so just to kind of start off, can you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as artists and filmmakers? Some of you have done a lot of really cool work. So let's kind of like start the conversation there.
Doesn't matter who.
Yeah, doesn't matter who. Whoever wants to go first.
Does anybody want to go first?
Won't play the back. Y'all can go. One of y'all can go.
Well, Seren, since you talk first, you want to go first? Is that okay?
Sure. I'm Seren. So I'm on YouTube. That's kind of how I got into filmmaking. I've been on YouTube for 6 years this year. I started out, I was writing essays, and I started writing sort of like opinion pieces on race and on racism around the time that Mike Brown was murdered in Ferguson. And I kind of transitioned into doing video essays on YouTube. And then in 2018, I started filming a documentary web series on Black American culture called The Black Americans. So I did 2 seasons of that and working on a 3rd season now. And that was how I got into documentary filmmaking. I did a short documentary on Ferguson. And then as I kind of got like more and more involved in documentary filmmaking and the filmmaking process, I was like, I want to do a narrative film as well. And so I just got this idea for, I don't know how in depth you want us to go right now into our idea, but I got this idea for a screenplay with a talking cat, and it kind of just went from there. And I applied for Indie Memphis and I got it, and I'm super excited to have the opportunity to work on it with you guys.
Yeah, feel free to go as in depth as you want to.
As I want? Okay, cool. So my project is called Kits. It's about a Black woman that's an artist. She's a film critic, and she's going through, I'll say, a traumatic event. She's sort of dealing with the death of her mother. And since she's an artist, she can't afford therapy. She doesn't have health insurance. She takes part in a therapy internet group, and she's encouraged to adopt a pet to sort of act as her therapy. So she adopts this shelter cat, and over time the cat basically starts talking to her. And at the same time, she meets this man, and he really encourages her to kind of lean into all of these surreal things that are going on with this cat talking. And the cat kind of ends up being, I'll say, like a manifestation of like her inner voice. A lot of her inner voice, her ideas, a lot of her negative self-talk, a lot of her mother's voice as well, her mother that passed away. And the cat is just this larger than life presence. I like to think of it as Donnie Darko meets Beyonce. because I was also largely inspired by the little short, brief kitty cat video by Beyonce, where she has this like 6 foot tall cat that she's like playing with. And I was like, what if that was real? So that's sort of where I started with this. It's really important to me to show my main character as a difficult woman. I feel like we don't really see a lot of representation of Black women artists, and especially Black Americans that are difficult, that are unapologetic, that are honest, that, you know, we speak how we want to speak, we say the things we want to say, we do what we want to do. And a lot of the times when you do those things, you get branded as difficult, especially a woman, when you're a woman. So I want to explore a lot of those ideas. I also want to explore a lot of the ideas about unpacking trauma and how it's not always something that we want to talk about or deal with, and until, you know, you're hallucinating and you have a cat talking to you, and then you're like, maybe I should pay attention to how I'm feeling, you know. It's also really important to me that it was set in Memphis, because I think that Memphis has a lot of really interesting racial and cultural history and background that I want to make sure gets included. I don't want to have like out and out conversations about like race and all that, but I want it to be something that is a actual physical presence, similar to the cat and similar to a lot of these ideas and concepts. So Memphis as a place is really important to me as well. I have a few points. Also, I want to get into a little bit of celebrity and social media culture and the internet, and a lot of the paranoia that we feel when we're on the internet and when we're dealing with the internet and social media. You know, my main character is encouraged to sort of get this cat via this online group that she's a part of. And so, you know, some of that as well, how does the internet and the social media and even people that we don't really know in real life influence our thoughts and our decision making and our actions and the way that we even think about ourselves and other people, and just how do we navigate our familial relationships, our racial baggage, I guess, our friends, our family members, and especially as a Black woman artist who's been branded difficult, how do we sort of navigate those things in this surreal setting with this talking cat and this sort of Black comedy is my project. So yes, it's my first screenplay. I'm making it up as I go, and I'm appreciating this opportunity a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing about your work.
Thank you.
I especially love it when you describe it as like Donnie Darko meets Beyonce. It's a perfect description for it.
That's really like what it is, like the big giant man in the bunny rabbit suit, only if it's like a huge 6 foot tall cat. Something like that.
Yeah. Damon or Zaire?
I could go. I'm Damon Davis. I'm an artist and filmmaker based in St. Louis, Missouri, by way of East St. Louis, Illinois. And my story around this particular residency is I applied with the same script idea, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I kind of came up with the idea specifically for it, and I didn't get it. But then I was like, this idea is too good for me to just sit aside. So I went ahead and started working on the script, started learning more about how to present, you know, these ideas, log lines, things that I, you know, just stuff I didn't know. And then I applied again, and I got it this year. So my screenplay, well, okay, first, before I get to that, but I have been doing film for a little while now. I won an Emmy a couple of years ago, but I ain't really have to do nothing. It was about me, my artwork. But that was a good experience. It was a regional Emmy. It's a short called Got a Story to Tell. From there, I worked on a documentary. I'm from St. Louis, and I was out protesting and organizing during Ferguson, you know, on an art level and, you know, and otherwise. But through that, I decided I wanted to make a film. So I joined forces with my co-director, Sabah Poliana. We did this movie called Who Streets. It's a documentary that came out in 2017 about Ferguson, but specifically told from the viewpoint of protesters and people in the community. And so that was my first feature, and it got picked up, and it did a short run, but now it's on Hulu. So that's my I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that achievement. And so now I'm trying to move into narratives, and specifically weird magic. I'm just really into Black people and Southern Black mysticism, and ideas around power, identity, and and mythology. So those are the three things that I'm usually working in when I'm making art. So my screenplay is called Sins of the Father, and the basic, I guess the predicament is like, if your daddy was to die, you go to his funeral, and the dude show up and he say, you know, your daddy owed a debt to me, so he promised me your soul, and so you got 3 days to find me another soul, or I'll swing by your crib and I collect what I need from you. You know what I'm saying? And then he just popped and then he's gone, right? And so for the next 3 days, that's the movie. Is this dude Otis Clark? He's trying to first of all figure out what's going on, but in the same time find the door to this stranger. That's the character, the stranger's home, and unravel this mystery around how he ended up in this predicament. You know, so it deals with a lot of things. It deals with generational curses or family problems, like things that your parents hand down to you. It deals with the ideas of what power means, and power as far as spirituality, especially in Black culture, and how much power we give to unseen forces, and how much power we have inside ourselves. And it's also it's kind of a love letter to the blues, and that's why Memphis was the perfect place for it. I plan on shooting the majority of it in Memphis, but I'm from St. Louis, so I would be remiss not to use some of St. Louis when we're talking about the blues. And I wanted to be a ride, but also it's a parable for some of the problems I'm seeing in the world, and what I think a lot of people like me grapple with. Yeah, so that's my story.
Thank you, Damon.
Hey y'all, I'm Zaire Love. I am a music maker and filmmaker and writer from Memphis, Tennessee. And I recently started to like step into my role or my purpose as an artist. I've always really enjoyed the arts, but I never felt like there was something that I could do fully. And so in these past 2 years, when I got accepted into my MFA program at the University of Mississippi, I began to just like walk in it. So that's how a lot of this started. And actually the Crosstown Arts residency, I just finished that in May. Getting that allowed me to kind of get into what Indie Memphis was and all of the programs that they offered. And so I was just like, you know what, I've been doing a lot of documentaries, you know, with my program about the Black South, because my goal is to honor and amplify the voices of the Black South. And so I felt like I've been doing that through documentary, that it would be so great to do that narrative, like through a narrative. And so I love old people, our elders, and I love Blackness and the South, and I love Harry Potter. And so I figured, like, why not create something that merges those two worlds together? Because I do feel like our Black elders, especially our women, are so magical in all that they do. So yeah. So my project is called Sue and the Mother's Board, and it's basically about this low-key teenager. Her name is Sue. They call her Sue, but her real name is Sue Money, and she's from Ignaro Mound. And Ignaro is just the changing orange, like spelling orange backwards. And it is really based, the land prophecy is really based on Orange Mound being the first community made by and for Black folk. And so that is the prophecy in which we talk about, that will be talked about in the film. So she's from there, and she must save her granny and the mother's board and the prophecy that they hold in the land that they've been secretly protecting, and is really being threatened by gentrifiers in the neighborhood, and it's been spearheaded by a realtor named Karen. And so we just go through Sue learning about the prophecy and learning about her grandmother's secret about being in this like magical mother's board. And so here in this project, I really want to talk about the importance of our elders and how much they keep us together, and how much they've carried us, and how much they carry, and like acknowledging that, because I don't see a lot of narratives or documentaries or just media in general talking about or reverencing our elders and how much game they put us on. Like if you sit at the feet of your elders, you'll see like they'll put you on some game. Like it might be like a little crazy, you might have to figure it out later on, but you'll just be like, you know what, there's knowledge. Also spirituality, I feel like and there will be kind of like some of these nods to the Black church in this film. And I just want to talk about like what was so significant about being so plugged in to, you know, spirit, to God, and how that speaks to the strength or just the uniqueness of Black folks in America, especially from the Black South. And also putting the Black South on, you know, right now we got, you know, P Valley, and we have, you know, other stuff now, but I just feel like the Black South, we come up with so much goodness, and like the Black South is everything in America. You feel what I'm saying? Like it just is, because it just trickles up. And so I just want to give reverence to, you know, Black folks in the South, and how innovative and how beautiful and how magical and how all of this we are. So I want to do that, like just bring an honor to the Black South. Also about, you know, inheritance, you know, we all, Miriam kind of told us yesterday how much all of our pieces we're talking about inheritance. So that's definitely something that I want to, you know, touch on in Sue and the Mother's Board. So, and one more thing is like gentrification. I really want to talk about that, and to talk about like some of the issues that are going on right now in our world, in a narrative form where it's like, after you watch the film, now we can have conversations about these real things that are happening in our lives, you know, here in the United States. So that's Sue and the Mother's Board. Just remember, it is Harry Potter meets the Black Southern Church in a motherboard.
I love that description so much. Just to remind everyone, I'm going to ask them a few more questions, but towards the end, you'll be able to do audience Q&A. So if you're on Eventive or YouTube, feel free to put your questions in the chat and they'll get to us. And then if you're here on Zoom, put your question in the Q&A box and we'll make sure they're answered later on. Y'all have already kind of hinted at this and sort of talking about your films, but I would love to hear from each of you about what made you apply for this residency and fellowship in particular. And also, y'all have already kind of talked about this as well, but like, when you think of Memphis, what are the kind of things that you think of that maybe drew you to wanting to spend time like working on your work with this particular organization? And whoever feels comfortable going first can go in whatever order, or we can go in the same order as we just did. It's whatever works for y'all.
Sorry, can you repeat the question one more time, just so I'm...
So I guess what made you want to apply for this specific residency, and sort of what were the things that you were thinking about in regards to Memphis as you decided to apply for this residency in particular?
Okay. I can go first. What made me, well, so my first season of the Black Americans, the web series that I did, the documentary series, I did an episode of Memphis. I was in Memphis for like a week or two. Shout out to Marcy. Marcy was the girl that I did the episode with, and I had visited Memphis before, but only like in passing for like a couple of days, like here and there. So that was the longest time I had spent in Memphis up until that point. And I just loved being there. I loved the people there. I've known like a ton of people from Memphis. And for some reason, it's like every time I meet somebody from Memphis, I just like them. Like we just click, we just get along. And that episode of the Black Americans, Marcy talked a lot about, similar to what Zaire said about feeling like, she talked about Memphis in particular, but the South as a whole, feeling like Memphis and the South was coming up with so many things, from music to slang to dress style, all of these things that was getting into the popular culture, you know, like the mainstream, and just not, Memphis and the South just like not getting any type of recognition for that. And also while I was there, I'm super into history. Like I love history, I love museums. So I was trying to go see like every museum, which is like impossible because this was like obviously before pre-COVID, but like there's so many museums, and there's just so much history, and like Black American specific history, to the point where like I'm literally driving around and I'm like, Cornelia Crenshaw Library, like who's that? Like who's that? Who's that? What's this? What's that? And I kind of just like, I fell in love really with the city, and just the very rich culture of the city. And I almost kind of feel like a lot of people from Memphis, and like the whole attitude of Memphis is, it's just something that, it's just something, like it's just something there. And so I was actually already, when I started working on this screenplay, I originally didn't have anywhere in particular in mind. But then once I heard about Indie Memphis, I decided I wanted to apply for it. I think I just heard about it, I don't know, like on Instagram or something. And then when I decided to apply for it, I just started thinking about all of the things that I saw in Memphis, and how these type of things were relevant and related to some of the concepts that I wanted to explore in this screenplay. And so I just started like tweaking some of the things to make it like, oh, this could take place here, this could take place there in Memphis, like this could be related to this could be related to that. And in a lot of ways, I just felt like it all started to come together. And so I just decided to apply, and I got it. I was shocked, to be honest with you. I couldn't really believe it. But I ended up getting it. So I don't know. I agree that, you know, a lot of us have some similar themes that we want to explore in terms of legacy, in terms of heritage, in terms of authenticity, in terms of culture, and just in a lot of ways, you know, what do so many things mean? Like, what do these things mean? What does it mean to us as Black Americans? What does it mean to us as Black Americans from certain places? What are these concepts? You know, these things with our family, these things with the land, you know, these things with our experiences. And I do feel like a lot of it is sort of inextricably filtered through race. And Memphis was someplace, I'm from Washington, D.C., that's where I was born and raised. And Memphis is one of those places that I feel like that you just feel that presence. You just feel that presence of our culture and our history literally everywhere you go. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter where you walk into, what street you're walking down. It's everywhere. And that's something that's important to me. So that was why I guess I kind of felt drawn to Memphis and to this program in particular. So, yeah.
Cool. It's so good to hear about I just feel like that's a very good point about people from Memphis just kind of have something that's it. Like I went to school in the Midwest and then came back to Memphis after graduating. And I feel like that's what I always said to people when I was in school, that Memphis in the South is just it. But Damon, if you want to go ahead and answer. I saw you on mute, sorry.
No, that's all good. I guess I'm from the Midwest. It don't feel like that though. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I guess it do. But the main thing, that's kind of why I wanted to do my thing about Memphis, because I only been there a few times too, like a few days here and there. But I grew up. Rap was the first thing I tried to do. That was my first professional artist job. I was trying to get that going, and before it was Atlanta, it was Memphis. Was good. That music was hitting us before that, So like 8 Ball and MJG and 3-6 and all of that was coming in, and so it was very inspiring, and it was a place that I felt akin to. The Mississippi River, it's a lot of similarities. It's a black city. It's not that far, we like 4 hours apart. And being in St. Louis, it's a touch point for like, I guess, the Great Migration. And so a lot of people, they stopped in Memphis and they live there, or they stopped in St. Louis and they live on the way to Chicago, on the way out, you know what I'm saying? And so a lot of those themes come up specifically in my script, like leaving the deep South and moving up the river, you know what I'm saying? And so and music is at the core of the story I'm writing. And so not only that hip hop influence of when I was a younger kid, but also blues, like blues, the idea of blues, what blues represented to America is the same thing that hip hop represented to it, because it was not nice black people music. It was black people speaking straight from their heart and telling their story, and it was not made for white consumption, but they caught on to it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that me and everybody that won this thing is trying to do that with their work. We making stuff for us and for people like us, and I think that's what I want to channel with being like in Memphis and shooting in Memphis, because I just feel like it's a sister city to where I grew up, and I feel that it's just right. I just feel like that it's the right move, and like both of y'all saying, it's something about it. And what I'm trying to do is figure out what it is and what's the similarities between where I come from and Memphis. And if I can bottle that, then I have a movie. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I'm coming from. I'm coming with respect and reverence, and it just feels familiar to me. And so I thought that it felt right to set my movie in Memphis. And I think that I just like the music has been a huge influence on me. So I want to learn a lot more about the city and to just see what we got in common, honestly.
For sure. Damon, I feel like you're from Memphis. Like, it's high key with your like accent too. I'm just like, you from where? Okay. So when you keep saying, you from St. Louis, I'm just like, okay, yeah, he from St. Louis. He's not from Memphis. He from St. Louis. As far as like applying to the residency, I figured, why not? Like, let's go. We got a story, and I really felt drawn to it, and I really wanted to take this year, meaning like kind of like July 2020 to July 2021, to really like just dive into like the arts, like just head first and go. And so I was just like, okay, let's bet on yourself, Z, and like write to the best of your ability and like get it done and see what happens, see what moves. And I told Joseph when he emailed me, I was like in IKEA walking around with my mama, because I was trying to find stuff for my like apartment, like little knickknacks or whatever. And I picked up my phone to check something. And it was just like, congratulations. And I was just like in IKEA jumping up and down, like going crazy. And my mom was just like, what? I was like, yeah. And she was just like, what's going on? I was like, I get it. She was like, so you know how your mama, we got it. So we in IKEA acting a fool. But Seren, like I was so surprised. I was just like, yo, y'all dig it? Boots, you like it? Okay, bet. So that was kind of like my application kind of journey, and I'm so excited to be writing it and to be writing it along with these two dope artists. They so dope, y'all. They are so dope. But being from Memphis, like I've always known, like if folks from Memphis just be like, yeah, I'm from Memphis. Like, yeah, in Memphis, we might clown Memphis. We really might clown it because, you know, Memphis, we got some work to do, but nobody else can do that. And when we go other places, it's just like, I'm from Memphis, 901, what's up? So definitely in this script, I wanted to really just highlight the gems, the gold nuggets of Memphis. Like a lot of people just don't know like about Orange Mountain and how historic that is for like Black folks. You know what I'm saying? Not just like the first Black community in the South, but just in the United States, you know, built for and by Black folks. Like how like filled with honor and just like, ugh, is that, you know? And if people here in Memphis knew that, like how much we would honor that place and that space, you know? So really trying to bring that in addition to, you know, the civil rights movement, going to the Withers Museum and seeing like, you know, Dr. Ernest Withers, like taking photos of all these things that are happening in Memphis. And it's just like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that history and how deep Memphis was in like the liberation of our people, you know? So it's just like being able to, you know, hit on that and see how that incorporates or adds to the magic of Memphis and this, you know, in this magical land, in this land prophecy, and why Memphis was integral in that, you know? So like putting those little gems in there, and like everybody know Southern rap, you know, 3-6 Mafia, Yo Gotti, 8 Ball, MJG, you know, Gangsta Boo, Lil Chat, all of them, you know, like sprinkling all of that in there. Shoot, and we can go back to Stacks too, because it wasn't just, you know, the Memphis, I mean, the Southern rap, but so many great artists, you know, came through, you know, Stacks and all of that. So really just seeing how we can take the nuggets, the golden nuggets of, you know, Memphis in our history and like putting it in that script and like putting it on the map. That's my whole goal, like putting Memphis on the map and putting the Black South on there.
Yes, I'm all for that. All of you kind of have this points of reverence, I think, in your work that you're all kind of looking at, and kind of like Miriam mentioned inheritance yesterday. And Zaire, how you kind of just finished answering that question kind of connects to my next question for you all. But I think for some people who are also writers, they're just curious about hearing how other writers write. Like, what is your process like, especially writing a feature-length screenplay? Like, I think for some people, that's a really daunting task to imagine. So if you want to talk a little bit about your process and kind of what works best for you, or what you're learning as someone writing a feature-length screenplay for the first time.
Okay, so I kind of felt like this almost wrote itself, to be honest with you. I was literally like taking a walk one day, and it was just like, I don't know, like lightning struck, like a light bulb went off. Like I was literally, like I was home in DC, literally taking a walk. And all of a sudden it was just like, bam, idea, talking cat. And I was just like, okay, brain, all right, talking cat. Okay, like where are we going with this? And then as I like continue the walk, I literally felt like the whole movie just like came to me in like a flash. And so I just like pulled my phone down and I literally just like wrote in my notes, like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. So I like to take walks. I feel like walking helps my creative juices or whatever. And especially for writing, I like to take walks. I take notes in my phone. I have like a notebook that I take notes with. And I've written like whole scenes just in the notes on my phone, or just like random scraps of paper. I'm not very good at like, I'm gonna like sit down at 9 o'clock and I'm gonna like sit on my computer and like type. That's really hard for me. I'll just like stare at the screen. But like I'll write down stuff from dreams I had, and I just kind of let stuff come to me instead of trying to like force myself to write. And a lot of the times like ideas just come to me and I just try to like write them down. Even if I don't have like a fully fleshed out understanding of like what it is or where it's gonna go, I just always try to write it down so I don't forget it later. But really this just like I felt like literally the whole movie just came to me in a flash from beginning to end of like, this is how it's gonna start. The opening scene, I really felt like I just like saw clear as day. I don't know if I like had a dream about that previously or what, but I just felt like it came to me really quick. And so my process now is sort of like fleshing out the scenes and the ideas into like actual dialogue, into like actual interactions, into like actual like real characters, and not just like sort of concepts. And I like that writing dialogue. Dialogue is sort of like my favorite thing to write. It's a little bit harder for me personally to do, I feel, scene setting and things like that. So I even try when I'm writing to sort of like do the dialogue first, because that's what's easiest for me. And then again, kind of try to like flesh it out afterwards and like work around what I already have. That's normally my writing process. On the flip side, I also, when I'm doing like YouTube and when I'm doing videos and documentary stuff, I like to just talk off the cuff without any like script or anything written down. And then I like to listen to it back, and whatever ideas come to me while I'm listening to it back, I'll write those down. And so I sort of just like expand on my stuff that way. But that's normally like my process, I guess you could say, for writing, and for writing this, because this has been totally different than anything I've ever written before. Like screenplays and stuff have a certain format, which I didn't know anything about. Like I haven't been to school for this. I don't know anything about it. I literally I pulled out a copy of Fences by August Wilson, literally. And I was like, oh, this is how August Wilson did it? Copy, like this is how I'm gonna do it. Like, and that was how I got like the structure and like, oh, they put this in italics, they put this, that was how I wrote it, because I really didn't know anything. So when we had our first meeting, I remember Miriam said like, well, if you're gonna copy anyone, she was like, August Wilson is the person to copy. So that was how I got the structure of scenes and stuff, was just, you know, reading things that I loved, reading scripts that I liked, reading plays that I liked, and sort of seeing like what structure did I like, and kind of like working my stuff around that as well.
I make a lot of stuff, so I just like to tell stories with whatever I got, and so writing is the hardest thing for me to do. Like I feel like I got it all in my head, and I can make the movie if people would trust me without a script, because I can hear what it's going to sound like and I can see it in my head. But writing it down does clear it up for me. You know what I'm saying? And what I have learned is that directing some, especially after the first joint, if you like, people ain't in your head and they don't know what you thinking. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to be real clear with it. So I think that learning how to write is really helped me to clear up my work. But where I start at is I'm making stuff all the time. And so I'm making stuff. Once I come up with an idea, I'm making stuff inside of that idea. So I'm painting pictures and I'm drawing pictures and I'm writing scenes and I'm making beats and all of that is influencing the main idea. And then I figure out what form is the best form for the story. And in this, a film, you know, like some stories go good, 3-minute song, you can tell a whole story. You don't need nothing else. Some stories, you need a 2-hour movie to break it down. You might need a series, or you might want just one picture, or you know what I'm saying? But like this one, I knew this had to be a movie. And with this, I was just straight up like, I was really questioning, because my mom was sick and she passed last year, but I was really questioning why Black people run to Jesus all the time, and no diss to nobody. And it's just like, what is it what is faith? That maybe that's what I mean, and not just Jesus, like Islam. What is faith? Because I got it, and whenever I get scared, it come up out of somewhere, and it's something very Black American faith is very unique for what we done been through in this country. For us to we literally needed it to survive, but if sometimes I feel like we put too much into it. So I wanted to dissect what that was about, and being in the music, the people that talk frankly about God and the devil, or blues players, frankly, like it's not, it ain't no, it ain't no sugarcoating. It's like that. And so I was just learning about Robert Johnson, and honestly, that story, just the story of the crossroads, and Robert Johnson was the jump off. And then I started to think about, well, how can I just spin this story? What's the way, like, how can I spin it? And it was just like, what if somebody else sold your soul and shit, and you didn't know? Like, you just pull up one day and you stuck in a contract, with an entity that you don't know if it's God or the devil. You know what I mean? And as I started to write it, though, I started to realize it was more about me and my dad, and what I done been through, and the trauma that I done got, and what the relationship me and him got, and what I would have to do to fix who I am before I got somebody that I got to raise and stuff like that. And so once I figured out that I was, like, it was therapy session, and once I figured out what I was really talking about, it was much easier. And then the character started to mean so much more. And then I could weave a lot more nuance in to the stories. And then I was like, shit, if I'm this person and I'm doing these things in the story, then I can, then other people that I know must be, like I'm leaning on things that I didn't realize I was. It was a lot of subconscious stuff that I was writing into it. And then once I realized what I was doing, it was much easier for me to get it going. And I did get a chance. Like Seren said, she didn't get to go to film school. I got blessed, and I got to do a 2-year program recently. I just graduated from the school in Vermont. And so I learned a lot of that there, like that format and stuff. And but also, like, just like what I mean yesterday, I'm getting different. I'm always getting different. Everybody want to tell you what you need to do. You need to write more about this, or you need to take this out. And I'm difficult too. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm learning is that you got to, when you writing, you got to know what you want, and you got to stick on that. Like you can't be pig-headed. You got to have some kind of sense of, like, you got to listen to people, but like you can't let people talk you out of the essence of what you're doing, because it's always gonna be somebody that's saying they got some opinion, or got something that you need to add, or that you missing something, or that know more than you about you, and that's not true. So if I could say anything, when you writing, you ain't got to be, you ain't got to be a douchebag, but you need to have some kind of confidence in what you're saying, and what you believe before you get to other people. And see, that's one thing that I didn't know at first. Before, like, shooting all these ideas around, if you ain't sure about it, it'll turn into something else. So you need to be sure about it before you give it to other people. And I think that's the most important lesson I learned in the film program that I was in, but also just throughout the years of making art. And I thought it would be different here, because any other thing you could do it by yourself, but film, you need a team of people, so you need to be able to talk to people. But still, in all, like, if it's your vision, you gotta, you just gotta hold on to the soul of it. You gotta hold on to the soul of it, and I don't think it's gonna come out the way I see it in my head. I'm prepared for that, but I know I need to have the soul of it at the end, And I think that's what the writing do, because if you got that in front of you, you ain't gonna forget what the soul of it is.
Facts on facts. Definitely. Just to piggyback off what you're saying, like the soul, like just the spirit of what you're trying to do, because I guess the greats, or the people who we remember, don't really go by the rules anyway. So you gotta, you gotta, blaze your own trail. So I think that's what we're here to do. As far as like my writing process, honestly, going to I got a degree in theater, but I was on the writing track. I'm no actress. It takes too much introspection and like putting yourself out there. It's just like, child, nah. Let me write that for y'all though. So I got into like playwriting maybe like my junior year, because like I kind of declared my major late. So that's where I first got a taste of, writing and writing things. But this is my first, screenplay, especially like my first like full-length screenplay. And so what I did was like go and look at other people, what other people did to like get in the groove, because I'll write things down, I think about ideas, but I am the type of person where I have to like make myself sit down and write something, or it's just gonna be in here and like out there. So I've just been trying to figure out, okay, what days can I dedicate like an hour to just like putting words on the page. Don't worry about nothing else. Like, let's just put words on the page. But I don't want to mispronounce her name, but she is the author of Blood and Bones, I believe, The Children of Blood and Bones. And she has this writing thing. I didn't sign up for it, but I think she has like a 7-day thing. And I know that she was saying like, hey, make a playlist, make a Pinterest board that like describes your world and some more things. But what stuck to me is the playlist. So when writing this, I got a playlist of some of the songs that I feel like just kind of give like are like the essence of what's going on. So it's this old song called "Come On in the Room" by the Georgia Mass Choir. And this is old like mother, and she's singing "Come on in the room," and it's like in the I guess the narrator, and he's kind of like a preacher, and he's talking, and I told you about the room, and da, 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 da. And it just like gives the essence of like what I'm trying to do. So like that song, Drawing Symbols by NBA Youngboy, Wildflower by CeeLo Green, some Janelle Monáe, like Cold War, some, Ari Lennox, like just a bunch of these, songs. And of course our Memphis stuff, Nobody Needs Nobody by Player Fly. But that playlist just kind of gets me in the mood of like, okay, these are the people, this is what I'm writing about. So the playlist has helped me. Also, the Pinterest board has come in handy too, like just because a lot of what I'm thinking about, it deals with Afrofuturism. So going on there and see like how many artists are just like creating in like dope and dynamic ways on the like Afrofuturism realm, just grabbing these images, grabbing stuff from the 70s. A lot of the 70s stuff is inspiring. So those things have helped me like sit down and write. So is that outside thing helping me like get in my chair and like write. So that's kind of been my process. Still learning, but that's been my process overall.
Yeah, so I do have one more question for you all, but I'm gonna ask a audience question first. Keith is curious to hear, and I think all of you could answer this question in terms of how is documentary sort of influencing how you all have transitioned to narrative? How does it influence maybe how you're writing or the things that you're thinking about as writers?
Unmute. Documentary is cool. Like I love doing documentary work. Like There's something about doing documentary work that it's real, like it's real people and it's like real things that happened. And like, for example, the Black Americans, like I don't edit. It's like totally like I just sit down with the person, we have the conversation. I don't like to edit it. I let them say whatever they want to say. And I've had people say like, oh, can I say this? Can I say that? Like, can I curse? Can I do that? And I feel like whatever you want, I like whatever you want to say. Like sometimes we take shots, like it's whatever you want to do and say, we can do it. And it's like real. It's like you're a real person, I'm a real person, we're having a real conversation. When I did my Ferguson documentary, it's funny because like I protested in Ferguson too. It's funny to think like maybe we like came across each other like back then. So even like revisiting that footage from back then, because I did the documentary last year, yeah, for 5 years. So even going back to that footage from then, it's real, like it's real. But since it's real, I feel like sometimes with documentary stuff, there's only like so far you can like really push it, because it's real, like it's real life and real people and real situations. In a lot of ways, it's almost like journalism, you know, like you can put your spin on it, but at the end of the day, like what happened was what happened. You can't say like other things happened. And I found myself when I was doing documentary work, because I started off with only one camera, and then I got like a second camera, and then it's like, oh, I want a third camera. Like I want a fourth camera. I want to be able to like get this angle. I want to be able to get that angle. I started playing around with like, I want to do like clips of it in black and white. I want to do like portions of it this way, that way. And then I just kind of felt like, you know, like maybe I actually want to do a narrative film, something where like I have sort of the complete control almost, and it's my kind of like manifestation of, you know, these thoughts and these ideas, instead of a lot of times almost with like documentary stuff, it's like you're trying to fit what already exists like into whatever narrative you're trying to create within your documentary, your what angle, you know, whatever angle. But with narrative, it's almost like it could be whatever, you know, whatever you want it to be. It could be literally, it could be totally surreal, totally non-linear narrative. Nothing has to make sense. It could be whatever, you know, like I can't really put talking cats in a documentary. You know, that's something I could probably only do, you know, in certain ways in narrative. So I just started, as I was doing my documentary stuff, which I still love to do, I felt myself wanting to push it more and more and more, and in different ways. And that's kind of what got me into the narrative side of things personally.
I love film in all aspects. But I always was on narrative because I wanted to tell wild stories, like you were saying, like can't put cats in, you know. And Ferguson, that the Who Streets felt more like community service because I was a part of that and I lived there, and somebody from there had to talk about that, because for you, in my opinion, like for you to feel the that didn't just like that's generations of people with them specific people, and like that, like facing off and people, you know what I mean, like it's and so, some people like came and then they left, but I'm still here, and it's like it ain't just a one isolated event, and I wanted to get the soul of St. Louis in it, so you know, so you could feel like you could feel like you're from there, and understand, and I know that this is an American thing, but like it's something special about DC, it's something special about Memphis, it's something special, like especially these black cities, because it's different type of blacks in every situation, but we are related, you know what I mean? So I just wanted my city in this moment to, you know, really come through. But one thing I did learn is that ain't none of, like that objective shit about making a documentary it's a lie. It's a lie. Everybody looking at something from a lens. Everybody telling a story is looking at it from a point of view. There's no way to separate that. It's just that white people, the white people is the de facto, you know, like the own switch. So that's where we start from. So that's where and if you start talking from a black male lens, black woman, trans people, LGBT, now it's subjective. but it was always subjective. It's just that you the default, and if you see something to make you uncomfortable, then it ain't, now it's weird and now it's made up. But all of the stuff that they be putting out be made up anyway. And so once I started to learn it, when you was like no editing, when I learned it, like I'm editing, just thinking about like that I'm editing this, that I'm editing life together to put a whole thing together in an hour and a half or 2 hours. That I'm making the story too. It's true. It's made of true pieces, but it's still a story from that I want to tell. And I'm showing, I'm looking at a certain person and only a certain aspect of the person. So it ain't it can get blurry. So I kind of disagree. You could put a big ass cat in a documentary if it served the purpose of telling the truth that's at the essence of the story. You know what I'm saying? And so freeing my mind of that during making that movie, and more during the Q&As, because everybody, like soon as I come in with white folks, they uncomfortable and they want to say that this happened this way, and so after defending that for about 2 or 3 years and standing on what we meant and what we came to do and the truth inside of it, it opened me up to thinking like all of these are stories, and it's truth inside of everything, you know. And even with like, and that's why I really like playing with mythology in the Bible and Greek mythology. Like it's true, those stories are, there's truth in it, but they lies, they made up a lot of the fairy tales, you know what I'm saying, the fairy tale aspect of things, or situations made up to tell you the truth about the human experience. And I think that whether you're doing a documentary or you're doing a narrative, those are unifying facts. And I think the leap over, and before, when I hadn't done one and at this scale, you know what I'm saying, I used to think they were super different. But like after doing that, I personally feel that they ain't that much different. It's just the pieces that you're dealing with. Like some of them come out of your dreams and out of your own mind, and so it's a painting. But then like a documentary is puzzle pieces. You got a bunch of pieces and now you got to put it together to make a picture, you know. But I think it's just the you know, the medium that you got to work with, or the materials that you got to work with that make them different art forms. But I still think you get to tell whatever story you want to if you're in the driver's seat.
For me, I guess my first thing is documentary filmmaker. Like I say filmmaker, but all of my films are short documentaries. And I really got into it because I wanted to tell like the stories that my granny, you know, used to tell me about the South and growing up as a sharecropper's daughter and, you know, picking 200, 300 pounds of cotton and, you know, getting 10 cents a day. And, you know, like all of these, you know, living in like a 1-bedroom house with 10 kids. And not hearing these stories until I got older because of like the trauma and the pain that they're trying to forget, but not knowing that like there's a whole lot. Don't you know how much pride I have even the more because you came through that, and like you here and like this is the life that you live in now. Like that's inspiration. Like that's like, oh, I'm proud of that. I'm not ashamed of that. Like I'm really not. And so, as a documentary filmmaker, like I just wanted to give these voices a chance to be heard, to be honored, to be amplified. So a lot of the work that I have done and that I will continue to do is to like find folks that stories that haven't really been told or aren't being told, and like giving them the floor to talk about that and letting them know that those stories are like golden. Like we need that, you know, we need to hear about that history from your lens, not from, you know, this Eurocentric or this Western or this whatever it is lens, but from how you feel about it, because it's the sauce is gonna be different. And so that's what I want to do as a, you know, documentary filmmaker, but being from documentary and coming into narrative, like I want to do the same thing. You know, I want to honor and amplify these stories of the Black South. Like that's just that's just who I am, and that's what I want to do, because I just feel like so much of it is not being told, you know, or it's being told like so watered down, in a watered down way, that it's just like, well, shoot, y'all should never made that then. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all could have kept that, you know. So you know, just being able to tell a story from the lens of folks that I know. So these characters in the script will be like, I guess, like my granny and, you know, her, the mother's board that I grew up with, where they give you the stale peppermints and the perfume flavored strawberry drops. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like trying to capture that so that I can also continue to tell their stories, even if it's not them in documentary form, is them in the written word through narrative.
Yeah, I feel like I always wondered, where did those candies come from? Because you could never find them anywhere else in an actual store. But the last question that I'll ask you all is just, so part of this reason of this event is just to connect you all to the Memphis filmmaking and arts community, and kind of what are you all looking for to connect to? What kind of other artists are you looking to connect to? What are things that you need in order to make your film happen after you've finished your screenplay?
I know I've been going first, but can I go last on this one?
I can go first. So I really want somebody to know the landscape of Memphis, and not just Memphis, but the outskirts, because a lot of the scenes that I got, it's like country roads. I need both. I need the city and the you know, the outskirts, and a lot of it same way St. Louis is built. Like you get a little bit outside of St. Louis, you in farm, you know, you in the country. And so I want to know where them little gems is. Is it any like where the juke joints at, where the barbershop that's popping at, you know, and stuff that if you from Memphis, I want to play that game. I want to leave little Easter eggs in it. So when you watch it, and if you ever been there, you like, yeah, I know where that's at. I know, you know, I know what's going on there. And I really just want to know the people there, so I know it's at my disposal. So I don't want to put too many, you know, too many things on it. Like if I meet somebody that's an amazing cinematographer, I want to know you too. I don't want to say that I'm not looking for that, you know, or I'm not looking for actors or whatever. I just want to meet people where they at, and people that you know, that just want to make some, like, tell stories and make brilliant movies, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not, you know, and so I want to just, but definitely I want to know the landscape and do some location scouting if I can get down there, you know, Lord willing, with all of this is going on. But that's what I want to know, where things is at that fit the landscape, and just meet folks and just, you know, vibe with it.
For me, I really want, I'm just moving back to my city. I've carried it everywhere that I've gone, but I'm just moving back, and also moving back and saying like I'm an artist, you know, like really stepping into that. So I don't really know a whole lot of folks in this space. And you know, I know of and I admire from afar, but I'm really looking forward to having or being connected to, you know, artists, you know, especially Black artists who are doing this work, so that there is some type of community that I can, you know, plug into and just like talk, and we can help one another, from folks who are dope with the camera, from cinematography, to people who dope with the beats, the engineering, you know, because, you know, being a music maker like that informs a lot of what I do too. So I just feel like building community is something that is really, really something that I really want to do, because I feel, I mean, I am new. So feeling so new to it, like you want to, you know, figure out where your tribe is so that you can like get in there and like be a part and like pump everybody up. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, or really want to get, like, see how I can get and build community.
I agree with both of your answers. I'm looking for the same thing. I don't really have like a crew or anything like in mind. So same as Zaire, basically just looking to build community with all different types of people. So yeah, like location, cinematographers, music, dialogue is really important to me. So just like community, to just be with people and figure out, who I can work with, and making sure that it's just the best piece possible. And I like that you use the word reverence. You said it seems like we have a lot of reverence for Memphis and for, sort of our Black American experience and our culture and our cities. So just looking for more people that can work with that and can vibe with that and are in favor of that, because some people don't like that. So pretty much that.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for sharing about your work and your experiences. I so appreciate getting to hear from you all and what you are working on. I'm going to do one last call for questions. If there's anybody else in the audience who has questions for these amazing writers, feel free to send them in the Q&A box, or if you're on Eventive or YouTube, send them in the chat boxes there. Yeah. If anybody has any more questions, or if you all have a question for each other. Give it 1 second.
I've got a question, but I'm honored to be in this company, straight up. Like, it's a dope group, and I just want to keep building with y'all, straight up.
Oh wait, it looks like we got a question. Someone asked, how could you all be reached? If you're someone who's wanting to connect with them, it's probably best that you reach out to Joseph first, and then he'll connect you with them, so that way we can kind of just make sure they don't get too bombarded with messages about everything. But I think
I can jump on real quick. If anybody wants to reach out to Damon, Seren, or Zaire, feel free to reach out to me, Joseph Carr. It's joseph@indiememphis.com. Pretty easy to remember, I think. So just joseph@indiememphis.com. You can reach out to me, and I'll connect you to the writers.
All right. Well, if there's not any other questions, again, thank you all so much for sharing with us. I love listening to you all. I'm never going to get tired of hearing you all talk about your work and just the reverence you have for each other and the reverence you have for what you're doing. So thank you all so much for listening to this tonight. I hope that you all connect with these amazing writers and that you participate in future Shoot and Splices. I'm sure, Joseph, if you have anything else that you want to add, I think you all are free to turn off your cameras if you want to.
No, I think that's it. Thank you, Damon. Thank you, Seren. Thank you, Zaire. Thank you, Kayla, for participating tonight. And again, if anybody has questions for them going forward, feel free to reach out to me, and I will connect you to everybody. And they will be working on their scripts until the end of October. So they'll be actively working on their scripts, and we're looking to connect them to as many local artists and filmmakers and crew members as would like to chat with them. So feel free to reach out to me, and we'll go from there. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.